Capcom has literally been on fire lately. And not just for their recent release of Resident Evil 2, but now because of Devil May Cry 5. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am not a fan of hack and slash button mashing games. But if there's one franchise that I would make that exception for, it's Devil May Cry. This is a true Devil May Cry game to its core. It's like Capcom decided to go back to the roots of Devil May Cry, and I'm really happy they did. No more of that emo DMC bullshit. This is a true successor to the Devil May Cry franchise. This is the next installment into the story. It's graphically stunning, and it's going to bring in an entirely new generation of fans. The best part about this game, in my opinion, is it's the easiest Devil May Cry to just pick up and play. Because you don't necessarily have to know the story in this game to play it. It's just fun overall, just going in and hack and slashing your way through demons. And it introduces you to your favorite characters. Dante and Nero come back, and it brings back some new characters that it introduces to you. One of the first being Nico, who is the person who basically makes Nero's arms. In this game, Nero has robotic arms of which he fights with, and Nico is this southern accented woman who for some reason really likes making weapons. So that's what she does in her free time. She enjoys making weapons, and one of the weapons that she makes happens to be the arms for Nero. I really liked this Nico character. Not only is she sexy, she's smart, she does all these different things for all these characters. She's a very good supporting character in my opinion. She's new to the series, so she doesn't really know the whole thing that's going on with Dante and all this stuff. But she has a little bit of development as the story goes on. I mean, it's a Devil May Cry game, so I hope you don't expect too much in character development, because, I mean, it's a Devil May Cry game. But they do such a good job in this game of balancing the story and the action, and it really is cool how they balance each character as well. Because one of my fears was going into this game, am I going to be playing as Dante? Am I going to be playing as Nero, just Nero? Or is it going to let me switch between characters? And that's one of the coolest parts about this game. It's got a lot of replayability. One of the biggest things for me in any game review is replayability. This game has it in droves. This game you can play through multiple times, because there's certain sections in the game where you can play as Nero, or you can play as Dante, or the new character V. There are certain segments in the game that forces you to play as one of these characters, but there's a lot of parts in the game that you get to choose who you wish to play as. And depending on who you pick, you go down a different path. And I think that's cool. Not only that, but within the levels, there's also split paths where you can take this way, or you can take the left path or the right path. Next time you play through, you can decide to take the opposite path, and they take you in different ways. I like that replayability. I feel like this is the best Devil May Cry game in the entire franchise because of the replayability that it gives you. Sure, the other Devil May Cry games may have given you replayability, but I don't feel like they did it on this kind of a scale. There's so many secret things that you can find in this game, from secret missions to blue and purple orbs, and just, it's really fun, even though this is such a linear-based game. The levels are pretty damn linear, but it's cool to see that they actually went out on a limb and actually made some exploration. It encourages exploration, and I love that. Now, going into this game, if you don't know a lot about the story in Devil May Cry, that's okay, because there's not a lot of people who probably do know the entire story of Devil May Cry. I, for one, am one of those people, because when I was a younger kid, playing the first two Devil May Cry games, I didn't care about the story. All I wanted to do was kill demons. So I didn't pay attention to the story. Well, if you're going into this game thinking, I don't know the story, so the game's not going to be fun story-wise for me, don't worry. In the main menu of this game, there's actually a selection you can pick that will take you through the entire story in a compact version of it. And it just kind of tells you the story. And I really liked that. That's one of the first things I did when I started playing this game. because I wanted to know the story of Devil May Cry. I wanted to catch up on it. I wanted to see what I missed with 3 and 4. I wanted to see, all these different things that, Dante had to go through. And I actually found out some things that I didn't know from playing through the first game, such as Dante's brother Virgil is actually one of the enemies you fight in the first game in demon form. I thought that was really cool, because I never knew that. I never knew that Dante's brother was in the first game. Speaking of Virgil, we're going to get to him later, but the thing about this story in this game is you don't have to worry about knowing the entire Devil May Cry story to play this game. This game is a self-contained story for this game. But if you want to know the Devil May Cry story, the option is there. And I'm really happy that they went out of their way and did that, because it really shows how much Capcom and the developers who make this game, it really shows how much they truly care for this title. They really tried, and you can see that. And I, for one, have to applaud Capcom, because there's a lot of things that they could have done to mess this up, in my opinion. But they did it right. Not only did they do it right, but this is the perfect jumping in point for new fans. Because you can start playing this game without having to deal with, asking questions. And if you do have questions, Nico says it the best.
Hey, you got any more questions? Better ask it now. I can't read minds. Ooh, well, yeah.
I liked that line so much I had to put it in the review. But really, if you have any other questions about the story, just go watch it from the main menu. It'll tell you everything you need to know. And the customization in this game, I love it because of one big reason. I was worried going into this game that there was going to be a shit ton of microtransactions. Now, don't get me wrong, there are microtransactions in this game, but you can be completely oblivious to them. They don't impede in your progression. And I have to applaud Capcom for that. This is me clapping. Because most games that throw microtransactions in their game, it strangleholds the progression system within the game because it wants you to spend real money in order to progress your character. Not Devil May Cry 5. And I am so happy. Capcom, you did awesome with that. Thank you. That was the best decision you could have ever made. Legitimately. Because this game is so abundant with its red orbs that you can never have to buy any of the microtransactions. You don't have to ever buy any of the gold orbs or the red orbs, because it gives you plenty of red orbs and gold orbs as you play through the game. And you increase your health with blue orbs, and you increase your demon gauge or whatever it's called. I forget. I think it's demon gauge for Dante, but your special gauge basically it is improved with purple orbs, which you find multiple of throughout the game. And red orbs become so abundant as you play through the game that you don't ever need to even look at the microtransactions. So I played through pretty much half the game without ever thinking that they were in the game. Until I found them. But the point is they don't impede you. And they don't even show up unless you actually go looking for them. So they did a really good job at that. The progression system in this game isn't strangleheld at all. There are a few, techniques and a few things in the game that are pretty expensive when it comes to the red orbs, but you get so many of them throughout the game that it doesn't bother your progression at all. I had so much fun playing through this game and progressing my characters and unlocking new techniques that I didn't even care that there were microtransactions in the game. And I think for the first time ever in my review history, microtransactions are not going to play a part in my final verdict. Ultimately, I truly do believe that the way that they put the microtransactions in this game is the way a lot of game companies should be doing them. If they're going to be in the game at all, Make it so that we don't have to look at them every time. You know, hide them away behind some form of different wall like this game does. You literally have to go looking for them in order to find the microtransactions in this game. Now that I got done with that little rant on the microtransactions and actually, congratulating Capcom, I'm going to get into this. The progression system in this game is awesome. I loved progressing my character in this game. Whether it be Dante, Nero, or V, whoever you're playing as, there's multiple ways that you can progress your character. Either buying new techniques through using red orbs, or you can get blue and purple orbs, as I said before, to increase your special gauge and your health bar. Not only that, but you can get so many different types of arms for Nero and weapons for Dante as you progress through the game, that it really feels like the progression system in this game is just really good. It's tight, And I like that, because it's a Devil May Cry game. And you want to be able to unlock new techniques and new styles to kill your enemies with. And with Dante, it's more prevalent than ever, because you get so many different types of weapons with Dante. You even get a hat that shoots red orbs. It's hilarious. But at the same time, it's cool, because I feel like V is the easy one to use. He's kind of like baby mode. And then you have Dante, who has so many different types of weapons, that he's kind of the one that's on hard mode. And then you got Nero kind of in between. In my opinion, I had fun using all of them, but I had more fun using Dante than any other character. And I felt like V was the easiest. But the progression system in the game goes hand in hand with the beautiful combat system, which the combat in this game is what we all come to play Devil May Cry for, right? The hack and slashing of demons, the kicking of ass. And this game does it so well. It still has the stylish system where you can get all the way up to a triple S style, and the more style points you get, the more red orbs you get at the end of the level. You can also go through the entire game playing one way or another. You can either just go with straight guns or go with straight swords, or you can mix it up. And the more you mix it up, the more you do and the different techniques that you use, you'll notice that your style ranking continuously goes up. Another really cool feature in the combat system in this game is every now and then when you're playing, it'll show a starring the DMC crew or something like that on your screen. And that means you're technically in co-op. I mean, you can't actually play with them, but you can see them in your level. While you're running around fighting demons, there's another player who's playing Devil May Cry at the same time, running through the game, and fighting demons as a different character. Either V or Dante or Nero, while you're playing as whoever you're playing as. And you can actually see these people. You can see their conflicts with the demons that they're fighting. But you can't play with them as far as I know. So that's about as good as that's about the best you're going to get when it comes to co-op. Which is unfortunate, because since it does allow you to play as multiple characters in this game, I feel like co-op could have been a really cool new feature that they would have allowed you to play co-op online. Unfortunately, all you get to do is watch them fight. But at least it's something different. It's something interesting. But apparently, you can actually play with other people at certain points in the game, with certain characters, but it's very rare. And I'm just going to get into the enemy selection of this game. I really loved the enemy designs, not just the enemy designs in general, but the enemies in total in this game were really good, in my opinion. Except for the one factor, because it is a hack and slasher, you do find yourself kind of getting repetitive as you progress through the game with the same enemies over and over and over. But the game does try to keep itself fresh by introducing new enemies at all points in time, and I enjoy that. But the real savior of this combat system, in my opinion, is the bosses in this game. As well designed as the regular enemies are in this game, and there are an abundance of regular enemies, the regular enemies don't really do it for me at times, because I feel like going through the game you just keep fighting the same things over and over. But the bosses are unique in this game, in my opinion. Yes, it does kind of do a few of the same bosses that it had already done in the previous Devil May Cry games. But it kind of brings them back in a better and unique, more style. Now, certain bosses in this game are better than others. And one boss in particular, I'm not going to say anything about, but I loved the final boss of this game. I thought that the difficulty spike between the other bosses and the final boss were appropriate. Not only was it appropriate, but it was possibly one of the best final bosses in a Devil May Cry game, or any game in general, that I have fought in a very, very long time. The final boss of this game not only has a twist to it, but is badass. The story of this game goes hand in hand with the bosses and with the combat. And I'm going to tell you right now, the story of this game is a Devil May Cry story. So you're not going to get a very, outlaid story for you. You're not going to get character progression. You're not going to get all these different things that most games usually try to incorporate in a story. There is a bit of character progression in this story, but not a lot. Don't go into this game expecting the best story you've ever played in any game ever, because you're not going to get it. It's a Devil May Cry game. But the story in this game, I will tell you, is by far, bar none, the best story I've ever played in a Devil May Cry game. They do what they can, and they do it well when it comes to storytelling. Capcom has really done well with the storytelling of this game, trying to finally get an end to the whole Virgil and Dante story, which, I'm just going to let you know now, spoilers alert, Virgil is in this game. I'm not going to tell you who, where, or when, but I'm going to let you know Virgil is in this game. And the twist that it introduces him in is actually really cool, and I liked it. It was unique in its own way, and I thought the story in this game was very convoluted, but at the same time was very understandable, especially for someone who's played the past Devil May Cry games. Now, for somebody new who's coming into this game, they might think, well, where did all this come from? I don't understand any of this. And that's why they give you that history selection at the beginning of the main screen, so that you know what's going on when you go into this game. It introduces so many characters from the Devil May Cry franchise into this game, brings them all together for one final showdown. You got Dante, you get Virgil, you get Nero, you get a new character V, you get new character Nico, you get Trish, and you get Lady. You get all these badass characters finally coming together to do one final demon mission. And I thought to myself when I played through this game, how are they going to keep going on this? And then I entered a phone booth. My favorite part of this game, and I'm not gonna lie, is the phone booths. When you can actually call your customizer to you. And they have such a ridiculous little cutscene coming in. Just so you can customize your stuff. That was beautiful. But the story in this game really is the diamond in the rough. Because most people go into a Devil May Cry game expecting it to just be a hack and slasher. Just to be a fun action game. Which this game is at every point. Every single point this game is an action slashing game. But it has a story. And the story in this game I thought was actually pretty damn good. That's my opinion. So, with everything as it is, with my favorite part of the game literally being that you can call in your customizer and the little cutscenes that it shows, I'm not gonna lie, that actually made me laugh several times over. And me laughing at this game is a good thing. So ultimately, that included with everything else that this game has to come with, a very intriguing story, an amazing combat system. I'll admit the game has platforming sections which kind of pissed me off, but the platforming sections I can overlook for some of the better parts of this game. The story, the combat, the gameplay in general. The fact that Capcom actually went out of their way to make sure that the microtransactions weren't right in your damn face all the time. The fact that this game feels like a Devil May Cry game. This is a solid 8 out of 10. Not gonna lie, I could very easily give this game a 9 out of 10. Or even a 10 out of 10. If it didn't have microtransactions. If it wasn't still super repetitive at times. And if the fact that I had to play it on, a medium difficulty even to have a challenge with it. Now I'm gonna tell you this, even though I did not have a challenge with it on human difficulty, once you get to the final boss of this game, there is a difficulty spike. You're gonna find yourself getting your ass kicked a lot, in my opinion, on the final boss of this game. So just stick with it, because it's worth it. This game is an 8 out of 10, and a must-buy for any true Devil May Cry fan, any action game fan. Really just go out and try this game. If you don't know what Devil May Cry is, this is the perfect oncoming point for you, because this truly does bring in an entire new generation, a new audience for the Devil May Cry franchise. And they do it in a very good way. This is Reign of Iron with another Reign review, saying go buy Devil May Cry 5. It is worth your money. Reign of Iron out. Thank you for watching.